Dr. Burgess for hosting the hour tonight. We all know the economy is in very difficult straits. Families are hurting. Businesses are taking downturns, and people in general are suffering. I don't want to see any family face unemployment or foreclosure or any business take a downturn, but I think the question before us is, what is the right thing to do? And there's not a member of this body, not a member of the administration, that isn't carrying that heavy burden in their heart. We understand that. But I do think that we should ask the right question. What is the responsible, appropriate response to maximize economic productivity and create jobs in order to help families? Dr. Burgess, you might be interested in knowing that a group of Nebraskans, anybody that's in town during the week, we have a long tradition as a Nebraska delegation. We meet for breakfast on Wednesday mornings. It's been going on 66 years. One of the things that I like to do to with constituents that are in town is just give a basic overview of the federal budget. So I hope you can see this adequately, but this is basically the federal budget. This is the fiscal 2009 projected budget for fiscal 2009. It is $3.5 trillion. Basically, this is where the expenditures go. The red part of the pie is what we call up here in Washington mandatory expenditures, including Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, as well as other expenditures, which include food stamps, farm payments, the earned income tax credit, as well as unemployment insurance and federal worker benefits. This plus net interest on the debt is well over 60% of the entire federal budget. National defense is in an area of this purple sector of the pie. We call that up here in Washington discretionary because we tend to haggle over it, but it's about 18% of the overall federal budget. This small sliver right here is called non-defense discretionary, and that's where other important programmatic elements lie. Many of the constituents who come up here come to talk to us about that very small area of the budget, whether that's parks or roads or programs to meet special education needs of a variety of governmental functions. This chart is very telling as well because it shows where our revenues come from. In fiscal 2009, the revenue estimates are $2.4 trillion. Now, you remember the expenditure chart, $3.5 trillion. So do a quick little bit of math, and that says a $1.1 trillion budget deficit for this year for our ordinary budget. This is where the money comes from. Individual income tax is about 45%, the purple area of the pie here. This maroon area, corporate income tax is about 10%. Payroll taxes are about 40%. And there are other excise and estate and gift taxes. But it's that figure I want to talk about, the $1.1 trillion. Because unfortunately, our process here, in order to create an opportunity to help the economy, has resulted in an unrestrained, unsustainable, massive Washington-style spending bill that would be very, very difficult to reverse. Before the year 2000, by the way, the federal budget was about $1.8 trillion. This year, it is almost going to be double that at $3.5 trillion. We have been on a massive spending spree, so it should have been stimulating, but here we find ourselves in serious economic straits. I was on the radio the other day, and the radio announcer asked, it's very difficult to get your mind around $1 trillion, and it really is. But think about this, the very deficit that we're leaving should this bill pass, along with other expenditures at this time, is larger than the federal government's entire expenditures were just a few short years ago. The deficit this year will be larger than the entire federal government before the year 2000. That's a very serious problem because we are going to pass debt on to children, or we're going to sell the wealth asset value of this country overseas, and that's a shift of the wealth of this country into the hands of foreign debt holders, or we're simply going to monetize it and create inflation, which is a regressive form of taxation, particularly for the poor. And these are very serious issues. So if we are to do a stimulus that's appropriate, it needs to be targeted and temporary, moving tomorrow's to the decisions to today in order to maximize economic leverage and create jobs. And we should also have some basic outline of a plan to pay for it. So those are some of the real dilemmas here that I see, and I wanted to come down and point out and thank you for hashing this out not only among members but for anyone that might be watching, and I thank you for the time.
I thank the gentleman for yielding back. And again, he points out an